Pozdrav v imenu Motovile in seveda kino Otoka. Zelo me veseli, da ponovno sodelujemo, da smo ponovno v del Pro Otoka junija in ne oktobra, tako kot lansko leto, odkud smo tudi lahko del festivalskih aktivnosti. Veseli me tudi, da nadaljujemo debato na temo ozelenitve festivalov, oziroma da gremo tokrat še širše. Pa veseli me tudi, da je Otok že naredil neke prve korake in gre globje in se je resno lotil teme ozelenitve festivala in kako lahko dejansko prispeva k zmanjšanju ogljičnega odtisa. So, hello everybody, welcome in the name of Motovila and Kežman Festival. I'm glad that we are here today to continue the debate on greening of the festivals, but we will go further, not only the greening of the festivals, but greening of all the cultural activities and how to be more green when organizing activities in the performing arts, cultural heritage, film, and so on. So today I will start with the presentation. I will present what is EU doing in the field, actually EU and Creative Europe in the field of the greening, how they are trying to bring Green Deal into action. But I'm glad that I have two guests with me. So Katja from Ecologists Without Borders, she will present actually what are they doing in the field of greening together with Motovila. So I'm glad that she will have first-hand experience in how to be practical, in how to start, and not only, like I said, with the festival, but in any other activity. For example, you were also this year, you said that you were partnering with the marathon in Radenci, and you were helping them with how to be more green, how to collect waste and so on. Okay, and we're so glad because last year we were also trying to make a collaboration with the festival across in Europe, and this year this finally happened, and we have Katharina with us. Katharina will present how are they doing in the field of greening. They are really pioneers. Well, yeah. She will present, she said that she will be also very practical, with hands-on experience, how to start, and with really, I was so glad that she explained that they didn't actually start with okay, now we have to have a green label, we have to be a green festival. But actually they were doing the way things are done in Slovenia, for example, because I explained to her that in the field of culture, the most active organizations are actually NGOs that are actually struggling with the funding. And we are always trying to find a way how to make things happen with low amount of funding. And that was actually their modus operandi. You started
in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning. Okay, but she will explain all the process later. So how it all started, I already mentioned that we are cooperating with Otok for a long time. We are working together at Pro Otok program. We organized already events in different fields, and last year we partnered with them to talk about, because there was always talk about green production, how to be more green in production way, but we never talked about how to make a green festival in Slovenia. So this was like, we initiated together this debate, and I was very glad that festival initiative came, all the festivals in Slovenia. If you put it in the context of Austria and other countries, in Slovenia we really have boutique festivals, but still it's great that we started the debate. And I think that we realized that we have to cooperate, festivals have to cooperate in order to be more green, to share, to work together in how to gain green partners and to help each other in a way, because last year we hosted a representative of the Diagonale Festival, and she explained to be green, it's not only to start this greening process within your organization, within your festival, but really you have to find also green partners. And in Slovenia, sometimes it's even hard to have partners or funders, to find partners and funders in the field of film festivals or like being an NGO. So it's even harder to find green partners. So this was like the first findings were, let's cooperate, let's work together on this topic. And now we are going even further, like I already explained. We will be more practical, and I don't know if there is somebody from the municipality here. Okay, great. So we will also try to explain how the decision makers can help in this way. How can they partner with the festival, with other organizations, and how can they help with the incentives in order the organizations to be more green. Okay, so the EU, the President of the Commission, determined 6 political priorities for this current 5-year mandate, and one of them is also a Green Deal. And 1/3 of these investments from the, I don't know if you're aware of it, this Next Generation EU Recovery Plan, and this 7-year budget will finance also the activities in the field of European Green Deal, because Europe aims to be the first climate neutral continent until 2050. And among this, I will now explain what is being done, what is going on, and how are they, pursuing this goal to be climate neutral. So one thing is, I'm sure you probably all heard about this new European Bauhaus. I will try to explain briefly what is new European Bauhaus. This is they are trying to translate the European Green Deal into action by raising awareness, promoting best practices, and also funding. Among many other activities, they also propose, I think that last year was the first time they proposed the new European Bauhaus Prize. And in 2021, a project from Slovenia was also awarded, Zero Waste House from Žalec, you're probably aware of it. They were awarded in the category of Rising Stars of Bauhaus. And this is also a financial award and financial support for their activities. And this year, among nominees, we have a creative laboratory Krater. You probably know, this is in Ljubljana, located in Ljubljana. This is like a collaboration between Trajna Association, Prostovoz Association, and Slovenian Permaculture Association, and also a designer, Rok Oblak. And I already said that this is like a campaign to raise awareness, to promote sustainable and good practices. And they also have, this year, the first year, the festival, it will happen live in Brussels next week. And they will present many best practices, best cases. I'm not sure if this is going to happen also online, but there are going to be a lot of debate, presentations. You can check at their website to see the program. But probably they will going to film the festival and the presentations, and you will be able to rewatch the debates. I already explained that also integrated into the Bauhaus there is also the funding system, and these are the programs that are also offering or are like they're not meant to support only green actions, but green actions are integrated, funding for green actions within the activities are also integrated in the funding programs. And today we will take a closer look at the Creative Europe program. I will present the program just briefly. You see here, you probably, as far as I see, there are so many familiar faces that have already like Otok, who is receiving funding in various programs, and Art House Cinema Association that is already receiving funding, so you are familiar with the program. But anyway, this is like the core European program that is a centralized program for the cultural and creative sector, and the main objectives are to safeguard, develop, promote European culture and linguistic diversity and heritage, and to increase the competitiveness and economic potential of this sector, in particular the audiovisual sector. And also, of course, in this new 7-year period, because the new 7-year period started last year, this new period will contribute to the recovery of these sectors, especially after the pandemic. And they are trying to make this sector more inclusive, more digital, and of course more environmentally friendly and sustainable. So the program is divided into 3 strands: culture, media, and cross-sectoral. So the culture part covers all the fields of culture, from architecture, visual art, performing arts, heritage, and the media sub-program covers all the activities in the audiovisual sectors, funding of the festivals, funding of the film promotion activities. And then we have the cross-sectoral strand. This is like, I have to explain a little bit about the new support scheme. From last year, the EU Creative Program is also supporting the news media sector. Next week we are going to have a presentation of the new call that is meant for like collaborative partnership with different stakeholders in the field of news media. So these are the new calls, and they're trying to like battle this fake news, and they're trying to educate people, general audience, and especially so they are like supporting activities in media literacy, media partnership, and so on. So how are the green practices actually incorporated in this Creative Europe program? The commissioner, she said that like cultural and creative sectors can really contribute to positive shifts of attitudes and practices towards a more sustainable future, both at the individual level and also at the social level. And as probably most of you are already aware, those who know the program, all Creative Europe supported projects need to have green strategy. So you have to think on how to be more green also at the organization level and also on the level of a project. And in the audiovisual sector, film organizations in various countries are already developing different carbon calculators. Also, the commissioner, she said that they would like to develop a common tool or this calculator in order to at least gain some, to see the numbers. How are we doing, and how are we approaching to be more climate neutral? I have to say that we have to be careful with these calculators, because I was trying, I was doing the research, how many calculators are there around, and also EU is supporting the development of different calculators. And I think it's best to find something that suits you, but otherwise, if you would, use, I don't know, 4 different calculators, you will probably receive 4 different numbers. So maybe Katja will explain more how to do it, how to, you're also doing this with Otok, collecting figures, numbers, facts. How are they doing in the field of to be more zero waste? And maybe it's good to partner with organizations that are experts in this field, so not to just click on one calculator and use it. Okay, but maybe I was talking with Tanja that also a green charter for film festival has been developed, and I don't know if you're using this green charter. Maybe
it was done by the festival network that we are in, so we haven't used it like. It used to be still like a beta version, and it was now presented in Cannes like for the first time for the greater public. So, but we'll use it for sure.
And also, media-supported trainings offer green trainings. For example, Torino Film Lab has one. They have series of trainings. I know. Even I see you there that you probably applied. You said you're going to apply for this training.
Yeah, there was this one, but on the third one because they have
many. They have many trainings in the series. Yeah. So that's like some. I was trying to give you like a notion what is going on in this field, how is EU supporting, you know, like through various supporting programs. You see behind yeah. You see the scheme of the program. So within this program you have different supporting schemes, and when you're applying for any open call, you have to think about your strategy. So this is like in a way incentive to. So when they are evaluating your project proposals, they are also evaluating how are your green activities and how are you integrating all your green activities into the project. So this will be from my side to present shortly how is you supporting Green Deal, but only from the Creative Europe perspective, because there are also other programs that are supporting and that they are integrating Green Deal in their actions. And I will give the floor to Katja to present how are they partnering with Otok.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. I'm really happy to be here today with you, and that so many people came to listen to me talking about waste. But I hope at the end you'll see that waste, and especially zero waste, can be a really sexy and also cultural topic, believe me. So yes, my name is Katja Sreš. I'm the head of Ecologists Without Borders Association from Slovenia. And why are we here today? Because of that. Those pictures we know from huge festivals and even smaller events from Slovenia. The fact is that normally we don't separately collect waste on those events. That waste is something that nobody wants to deal with, that we always try to hide those trash bins so nobody can see and reach them. So that is the consequence. That's one picture from Slovenian Marathon. From years ago. They are already doing some steps, but yeah, we all have a lot to do and a lot to improve. So a little bit about our organization, maybe just to get a feeling how many of you know Ecologists Without Borders, if you could just raise a hand. Okay, that's great. Didn't expect so many hands. How many of you know the actions Očistimo Slovenia? Clean Up Slovenia? Yes. It's always the same, believe me. Yeah, we've been actually the organizers of Očistimo Slovenia, or Let's Clean Up Slovenia. It's a one-day event in 2010, 12 and 18 when we try to combine all those cleanup actions on the local level, and we are still the record holders in the world when we talk about the number of participants. 14% of Slovenians joined us in one day to clean up Slovenia. So I think that we can also impress Slovenians to join us in the zero waste movement. So, Ecologists Without Borders, we are also part from the Zero Waste Europe network. Since 2014, we are the National Zero Waste Organization and are the guardians of this movement or philosophy or concept or whatever you call it in Slovenia, because everyone now wants to be green, sustainable, zero waste. There is a lot of greenwashing going on, so if you check Zero Waste Slovenia webpage, there are only events that are truly zero waste, and I will tell you what this exactly means. So we are dealing with events. We also have one Slovenian zero waste hotel in Riedler. We have zero waste municipalities. Actually, the first ones certified by Zero Waste Europe come from Slovenia, Bled and Gorje. And also we are working with restaurants. So the main criteria to get the label zero waste is 90% separately collected waste, and to reduce the amount of whole waste each year. So that's the main criteria, and everybody who gets to the 90% can be called zero waste event. But as we know that this can be hard to achieve, especially for example on the municipality levels, we always try to have also a label before the zero waste label, so Kino Otok ispirirali z manj odpadki for now, or event with less waste. But after our event we will know if we have reached the goal of 90%. And I will tell you how. But before we start concretely with Kino Otok, I don't want always to just say that the organizers are those who have to make some green steps to improve their practices. Also, we as attendees, this is a picture from Werchterfest in Belgium. I'm a huge rock lover, so I go to a lot of rock festivals. Yeah, and you see pictures like these, and this is not even the end of the festival. There was a graveyard of tents lost, forgotten, being bought for only this one occasion, and this is really wrong. It's wrong that we use the sources from our planet, which are obviously not endless, and that we produce things that we throw away after minutes, hours, or even not that. So yeah, we attendees also carry the responsibility. And of course, as we already heard, our partners, the municipality, waste companies, sponsors, media, everybody who is part of our events. So, but now let's go to the event organizers. And yeah, there is no way back for Kino Otok. We signed the pledge. That's it. It's and it's just a piece of paper, but it's really important. I always like to think about when you try to dream of some ideas or what you want to achieve in life. If you write something down, then at least a bit will come true. So that is why it's important that we write down, yes, we want to go on the road towards zero waste, and we have a plan how to do it, and we're going to cooperate, we're going to really engage all the stakeholders who are helping us with the event. So yeah, that was the first step. Actually, I checked the emails, and Neja, who is the head of the zero waste happening here in Kino Otok, wrote me on the February 3rd already. So since then we are talking about waste on Kino Otok, and it's only happening now. So yeah, a lot of months talking about waste, but it's really necessary. So if you're going to do such events, please do it really in advance. Try to think about those things really in advance. We get all the time requests from big companies, big, conference organizers who call us 14 days before the event. Oh, can we get a zero waste label? No, you cannot. I mean, it's not possible. You have to think about waste before you create it. And that's the best kind of waste, the one you don't create. So yes, start really early when you prepare the event. It's really important that we are that we know everything about the event. We're now a bit of spies in the organization of Kino Otok, because we have to know everything, because waste, we get waste everywhere. Everyone produces waste, so we really have to be careful. So our mission is to separately collect 90% of the waste, and to get the idea what is actually happening with our waste on the event. Because normally when the event is over, you're thinking, oh, how many attendees have been there, or oh, we have nice pictures. Nobody is thinking about waste. Yeah? So yeah, we just try to think about those things, how to improve also for the next year. So we have some hard and soft measures. We will make the waste collection accessible, visible. You will see the trash cans, and that's actually a good sign. We also have beach flags, so yeah, it has to be visible. We don't want to hide the possibility to be good at separating the waste. And actually, we're each day weighing the waste, how much we create. Paper, plastic, bio-waste, so that's the most important thing. Why I love to work at Ecologists Without Borders. because we really work with data. We don't just come and look at an event and say, oh, it's nice, they use the paper on both sides. I mean, yeah, each step counts, but if we want to improve something, then we really have to measure those things. And so we will know for the next year. Maybe we will be already this year successful. I mean, Otok is already doing great things like cozy computers, they're refurbished computers. I know that also the guests are traveling as much as possible, really sustainably. Katharina came by train, I came by my electric vehicle, so yeah. Everyone can contribute to those steps and to help the organizers. So the next thing is after weighing and separately collect waste, we will really take care of the cigarette butts as they are the most pain in the ass waste, especially here on the seaside. And we actually is the most common waste item we find in cleanup actions. It's the most common waste item on the beaches, so yeah, we have to really be careful with this. And the volunteer camp at Hladnik will be without single-use plastic, single-use items. The volunteers had to bring their own reusable cups, dishes, and everything, and it came with that in collaboration with a second-hand shop from the waste company here in Izola, Centar uporabnih predmetov. They will prepare or at least have some workshops to upcycle the merchandise, to prepare the merchandise from second-hand shirts. It is also really nice to see that the kids program with Mornica has also an environmental green line, I would say, not red line. And of course this event, this is also one thing we can raise awareness. I normally speak to people who already know about those things, who are already doing a lot of sustainable things, but it's nice to broaden our spectrum to really reach much more people and more audience. And I really hope that I will touch somebody of you to maybe at least try to change something at your own lifestyle, maybe to cut single-use plastic bottles and go for reusable. I mean, that's one step, but it's really important. So, yes, and if we stay at our own responsibility, this is also from Rob Werchter. Just please follow the rules from the organizers. This is really important. Separate waste. Why not? If we are doing it at home, why are we always forgetting when we step out from our homes? Just do it. It's really simple. The organizers prepared everything that's as smooth as possible. And don't bring your own waste to events. I think that's really also important, especially on those open air cinema nights. Maybe try to bring your zero waste snack, for example. Go to a market and bring your snack in your own bags. Why always have to choose for plastic? Give also feedback to your organizers. I think that's the most important thing. If you see something that's not okay, or if you have an idea how to improve something, it's really valuable to communicate that with the organizers. And of course, share our social media messages. That's probably nowadays more important than any donations. It's really, we have to reach as much as possible people also on the other side of Slovenia, for example. And if we can do it by, I don't know, zero waste measures on Otok Festival, this is also a way. So yes, that picture is from Art Camp Festival in Maribor, and this one also. Let's stay a bit with the partners. As we already heard, Europe has a plan how to give credit to those organizations who already are doing something in the way of sustainability, and I think this is also the challenge for each and every local community in Slovenia. We already have some good practices from Slovenia, from example in the municipality of Vrhnika, who is also in our network of 16 zero waste municipalities. The organizers of an event don't need to pay for the waste pickup if they attend zero waste workshop, which we are organizing each year, at least for the mixed, recycled waste. I think it's like that. So yeah, that's one measure. And also we have already helped some local communities to write the rules how events have to be prepared. But yeah, I know that also some rules are here in Isola, which are, for example, that you shouldn't use plastic cups. But as we are now working in this field and really digging deep, we found a huge systemic barrier that nobody of us knew about it. We have been prepared to, of course, buy the compostable plastic compostable cups. There is only one certificate for this, so it should be standardized. But when we went deeper, we found out that it's not possible to compost those cups in Slovenia, or at least somewhere around here. So they would be only incinerated, and that is why we have to have now plastic cups. They at least get recycled, as we hope. So yeah, waste is really sometimes a big black I don't know. Hole with a lot of questions. So yeah, this is our mission now till the next year. We'll do research with a compost facility, with the university, with the faculty of agriculture faculty to really see if what's wrong with those crops or what's wrong with our compost facilities, because that's not okay. Because we have the rules that we have to get rid of the single-use plastic, and yeah, if we don't have alternatives, that's really wrong. But yeah, bioplastic and compostable things are also single-use items, so we will try in the next years to maybe also push for more reusable items, and that could be also a thing for cultural organizations to maybe buy those cups together or to exchange them, because it's a really shame. I mean, in Austria there is for years now that you can go to a concert and use a reusable cup. In Slovenia we unfortunately don't have anybody who would want to make money from it, and I'm really astounded. Now we have a company, but it's still making baby steps. So yeah, there are some systemic things that we have to address, and as we are working with those companies or with those events, we always get to those challenges. For example, in marathon also everything wasn't perfect. For example, somebody wanted to steal our waste. really, we had the volunteers had to really defend the one big 1,100 liters trash can with plastic bottles that we collected separately. So yeah, plastic is getting more valued than copper, for example. So yeah, take care of your waste. It's a really big business. Benefits for responsible organizers. Why not to put in the local grants more points for organizers who are going on a sustainable way? I mean, that's the most simple thing you can do. For example, I come from the city of Maribor, you wouldn't guess it, but I'm primarily coming from the cultural sector, but from the music part. And they have a special grant for environmental projects, and we as a cultural NGO can also apply for those environmental projects and actually get more money from it than from the cultural grants. So it's getting more and more popular. And of course, sustainable sponsorships. Like you can see in this picture, we really had to work hard with some of the sponsors who want to come to your event with leaflets and just trash that ends up everywhere. So we try to educate also those sponsors, and it's really in the case of Art Camp where we have been collaborating from 2017, a great story, because now companies are coming and they are financing our work. They are financing programs that are spotlighting the sustainable lifestyle. For example, this year we will have, together with Zveza Prijatelja Mladine and some schools from Maribor, second-hand clothes fashion show and dance performance in second-hand clothes. We have clothing exchange, so the companies are paying for that. So that's really cool. And we have to educate those partners to give us the opportunity to work in this sustainable field. And one of the most common myths, events without waste do not exist. Yeah, of course they don't. I mean, even households without waste, I mean, okay, probably there are some, but also in my household we can find plastic. Oh my gosh, but that's not the point. If we would now just think about, okay, we have to be really, really zero waste, then probably nobody will do anything, because it's impossible. But each step counts, and it is not possible to get to the zero, but it's possible to make really great events. And I love to work with those events, because at the end, it's not only about waste. We spend much more time about how to communicate those things, how to cooperate great, how to, I mean, you just dig deep and get to know those events, and it's really beautiful. This is Art Camp, for example, a zero waste festival for families, and my, of course, favorite festival is Mission Festival. This is from my music school from Maribor. Also an NGO. We've been the first zero waste festival, but it's a really small boutique festival, but trying hard. Of course, Socialno Trgato started third there. This is the picking up of the grapes of the oldest wine tree in Slovenia. That's also in Maribor. Actually, Kino Otok will now be the first event towards zero waste on the western part of Slovenia, because now we have also marathon research, as I already said, 4,500 active attendees. We had to have help here from students from high school. 23 girls and guys have been helping us, because on a marathon you have to have somebody there to tell people how to separately collect waste. I think we will manage this here in Kino Otok, but it was just too much and we had to have help. And we managed it. We went to 91.5% of separate collection and collected only 700 kilos of waste. So this is really kind of a small number if you think of the huge size of this event. So that would be from my side. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tanja, Neja, and everybody who's really doing an awesome job here and trying to make this event at least with less waste, or at least that we know what we're doing, and that we will cooperate in the future and make even bigger steps and be the light for other organizations, and to inspire them that it's really an awesome thing to deal with waste, to communicate about waste. So now tell me, is it sexy or not to talk about waste? I hope it is. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, we will be available, of course, for you. And I will stay here at the festival till tomorrow, so I can also inspect what's going on with the waste, and I will have an eye on you. So if you don't separately collect the trash, I will be really mad. Joking. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Katja. This was not a waste of time. So now I will give the microphone to Katharina from Crossing Europe Festival from Motovila, and to present your case.
I'm really happy also that I'm here today. Thanks for the invitation. At this point, I just brought some pictures basically, and I'm gonna, as Ines said in the beginning, I wanted to start talking about the very small baby steps we at Crossing Europe took in the beginning, when we were not even talking about any labels or any certification about a green event, but it was just happening because out of a certain necessity because of the budget. And what I realized when I was preparing this was that the steps we took, we didn't really take many pictures of, so don't expect like a photo show. This is really just a few pictures because I wanted to show a few of the things we did and what they looked like, just so you have an idea. And also, I think the things were pretty easy and they were not really so special. But it was just a starting point where I started to work at the festival 10 years ago, and I was actually the head of festival production. And this was my first job at a film festival, and we had very little budget for everything apart from we had very small budget for decorations or the events or all that stuff. So I had to come up with ideas, and that's what I just started to do without really thinking. And it was my personal motivation to just do it in an environmental friendly way, because that's what I just wanted to do. And we started really with very small things. I mean, it started at the office, and I started to become very unpopular at our festival office for some time, because everybody wanted to clear up the office and throw away things, which I completely understand, but I always said, no, let's keep that, maybe we can use it. And what I'm talking about is things that were mainly side products from we got our festival catalog delivered on wooden pallets. We got a lot of cardboard stuff. We got a lot of things that I thought was material that we could probably use at the festival in another way, so we wouldn't have to buy things and just could make them ourselves and save money that way in a way. Also I started to really be strict on separating waste at the office, and what I found out at that point was that during the festival, because I was attending the festival before I worked for it, was that there was no containers. I think that's kind of what you mentioned before, but there was really there was 2 containers there. There was nothing written on it, so you didn't know where you would put what at the cinema, or you left the cinema and everybody put everything just anywhere. So one of the first steps I also took was I tried to organize containers, which for a fun fact is really hard in Austria to get good containers for separating waste, because those big ones you showed, they're really expensive for whatever reason, and even if you rent them, they're really expensive. So what I did, I went to the local station for separating waste, and there you could get bags, plastic bags actually, but big bags. They had different colors for separating the waste, and I just asked them to get us as many as possible, and we got 40 or something, and we made our own separated waste stations at the festival at the location. And I think that really was the first step that helped separating the waste. And also what we did, this is an example what you can see here, we used the cardboard to just decorate our events and buffets. Which I think is, when you organize a cultural events, you usually have those kinds of events where you serve food and drinks, and I think it's a quite easy point where you can do something about waste by using reusable things. I think I'm going to repeat a lot of the things you just said in a way. This for us was a really important step, because beforehand we had buffets where there was even the food was served in plastic that you had to throw away afterwards. And I think we needed to get the audience aware that this is what we do on purpose, and it is not everybody's style, I have to admit. Like, not everybody likes this kind of style, but for us it worked really well. It got that far that, well, I think I have another picture. Okay, no, this, yeah. So it got that far that also at the office, for example, I also asked everybody to use the paper again, to use envelopes again. It's really small, cardboard boxes. You can use them again. You get sent something. You have to send something back. We use the things. And then also we made a similar step that Otok obviously took now, because we didn't have enough furniture to
to build our festival location. So we have a deal now with the local second-hand store that is also a social project, and we borrow basically furniture from them, from their store. We go there, we borrow it, and they take it back afterwards, and it will be resold as well if it's still in good condition. So that's how we use like those couches and stuff. Also, the locations that we were in as a festival didn't have enough furniture at some point where you needed like not only couches. So we bought new furniture, and we always had the problem of storage. So when you bought big chairs, where do you put them afterwards? What do you do with them? But we were lucky because near us there is a company that produces furniture out of cardboard. You can see them here in the back, and you can just fold them up after the event and use them again. We're using them now since like 9 years, so that's a pretty long time. Now I think we should exchange some of them, but they really hold up, so that's I think a great thing. What we also did was a lot of upcycling stuff. So we, for example, used old metal film cases for presentation of small goodies. We very soon also did that. We had festival flags in the city. So marketing stuff that we reuse and make bags out of it, which we sell as merchandise at the festival, and they're really beautiful. I have a photo of them later as well. Basically that's what was the starting point where I just wanted to make a difference. Also for our, thank you, perfect, okay. For our buffets, we started to work with, maybe this one's better. Since we have quite a lot of drink sponsors at the film festival, we started to really reduce it to the very basics, and we just get glass bottles from them. So people we have takeaway buffets, and people just take the glass bottle, open it, and it really works fine with most of the drinks. Even since the pandemic, it even works with wine. So we get instead of a big wine bottle, as you can see here, we get small bottles of wine. People love them because then you can take them. What was not so easy is to get the empty bottles back, because we usually give them back. But raising awareness, having people there, telling people to bring back the bottles, also having signs everywhere telling everybody to bring back the bottles, that really helped. And then also, actually with the help of some volunteers who started to collect glass bottles on their way home after a festival night, because they found them everywhere afterwards. But it has been really getting better. So when in the beginning we were losing, I don't know, hundreds of bottles, by now we are have reduced this quite a lot. And so this is what a buffet at Crossing Europe usually looks like. So there's no glasses at all cups. Then we started to think about it more after some years, and there was one big step we took, which was in the beginning we had two big we had a printed festival catalog and a printed festival magazine, because one of the magazine was in German, the catalog was in English. So obviously for us the step was to make a fusion of those and now we just have one product which is in both languages. This seemed hard in the beginning because of sponsors, because you have advertisement in each catalog you print, you have advertisement from sponsors. But we managed to make the new product look great. And we transferred the things we had to do for sponsors basically online, most of those things, which is the right time to do it. And to be honest, this was also a step we took basically because we wanted to save also money, because when you just do one product, it just is less work, which costs you less money. What we had from the beginning at Crossing Europe was we have paper bags for festival bags. I don't know how many festivals, or if you visit many film festivals, but usually you always get a bag, which I think at some point starts to be a problem. At Crossing Europe, this is a little bit easier because we always had paper bags, and they come in very handy because we do not only use them as festival bags, but also they work out great as decoration and can be used afterwards. And the ones that we don't need, we can give to other restaurants. And by since 3 years now, they're also produced in Europe. And this is like something that we talked about with the sponsor. So the bags are made by a sponsor, Otok. And this was something where we really had the chance to talk to them and told them we need to make a difference because otherwise we cannot use the bags you produce anymore. And they started to produce our bags in Europe. So this is something that does work. I know that this really depends on how big your event is and how much you can actually ask something like this from a sponsor, but I think it's at least worth a try. We also had some success, for example, this year with a partner who wanted to give us goodies. So we tried to reduce all those goodies that you always get. We had sweets, everything is packed in plastic, then you had this bag with this 10,000 of goodies. And we started to tell them that we don't want anything that is wrapped in plastic or is just something that, a pen that, we all have pens, I think. So we talked to them and they really changed for another thing. So, sometimes that's a problem because the more quality things are, they probably cost them more. They are probably less than we got from them, so we couldn't provide them to everybody visiting the festival. But I think the nice effect is that then they are even more appreciated and we know that they will be used and people really love them and are really happy with it. So I think that makes a difference as well. Also, when we started to think about all those marketing things in the beginning, when I was working at the festival, for each year we did a new roll-up, right? You have a new festival image, we have across Europe, we have a different color every year, so we did a roll-up for every year. It's quite easy to change that. We just went for a color that we can use every year and it just doesn't have the festival date on it, and now we're using the same one since I don't know when. Works out really well. Also, we started to make the festival badges from paper because the festival is 6 days, so a paper badge is just fine and works really well. Before they were just covered in plastic, so they would last forever. I don't know, I don't need my badge from 2004 anymore, so it's fine. Oh yeah, I think probably have another picture. Oh yeah, that's back. Yeah, so that's like, for example, our logo wall that is now exists like 10 years, that's how it works. Even we can change the cover if this one doesn't work anymore and still use the back. Talking about mobility and transport, I think is for cultural events quite important because we always invite guests, we invite artists. So we did what you said, we advised them to arrive by train or do car sharing if they have to come by car. In Austria we are pretty lucky because from the airport in Vienna there's a direct train to Linz where the festival is taking place. So basically the last 2-3 festival editions, all guests that have to take a flight can at least get directly into a train at the airport and arrive in Linz. We used to have 3 festival cars and we just reduced them to 1. We just decided that a couple of years ago. And it turned out it worked out so well that this year we were even talking about if we needed the 1 car at all. Because in Linz, it's not a very big city, so everything is very close. The festival locations are pretty close. Public transport is quite okay. So yeah, we still have a car. We wanted to get an electric car. We ended up with a hybrid, and I wanted to tell this because this is, I think, one of the funny obstacles that you come across. Like, we wanted to get an electric car. The car sponsor was ready to give us an electric car, but there was no charging station that we could use. So, well, we ended up with a hybrid car, it's okay, but just these limitations where I think it should be so easy to get an electric car and then charge it somewhere every night, it's not possible in Linz at least. Also because the festival locations are pretty close, we just switched for cargo bikes when we are doing short transport. This is so funny that we didn't think about this a long time ago because distances are really short and it takes you much longer to go by car. I mean, it's a walk of 5 minutes, and we used the car to transport, for example, boxes of drinks from one location to the other. Now we just use a bike. You also talked about the flyers from partners. We really reduced reduce that down to what we could, so we asked them to really bring us a small amount, and what we do is we send what we have left over, we send it back, or try to give it back, because at least the awareness rises that what we didn't use can be used again in most cases, so it doesn't just go to waste afterwards. And we also really take care now about which partners we start a partnership with. We check in advance if this will fit, if this will make sense. This especially goes for all those who will provide food, drinks, and stuff like that. I also wanted to mention, I forgot to mention something before, because I think what always looks like it's really expensive when you get like food that is organically produced. But for us, it was not that much of a budget change, to be honest, because we just switched to cheaper produce. Like before there was meat at our markets, now there is just vegetarian food. And if you use like regional stuff, like, I don't know, carrots are pretty cheap. It sounds so funny and so weird, but it makes a difference in price. And if you have a good restaurant that is working with this, you can still keep up like the amount and the budget, but it still is much better for you to have salmon, for example, but there's no salmon in Austria, so it doesn't really make sense. Going back to traveling, we also started to talk with guests that for us it's really important that they just don't attend the festival for just one day. Because that happens quite a lot in the film industry, I think. You just go to a location, you are there for a screening, and then you probably move on. For us, we started to talk to the guests if they just wanted to come for one day, that maybe that doesn't make sense. Please stay longer, you can enjoy the festival more, you can enjoy more of the event, and it just makes more sense if you have to take a flight, if you stay a little bit longer with us. So we really try on that side as well. Also, we do a bit of compensation. I know, I guess it's on purpose that you didn't talk about it, but I think what we found out pretty quickly, which I think everybody else does, is that when you just click a compensate button when you book a flight, this is not really probably the project you want to support. We opted for local Austrian initiatives, and we compensate our flights that we have to buy with that. And then I also wanted to talk a little bit about the label. So the green event label in Austria, it's really interesting because we have like 9 regional governments, and each of them has a different green event label. And they all ask for different things. So in Upper Austria, we have that green event label for Upper Austria, where the festival is located, but it would be a different thing if once we switch the region. And because we started to talk about green events with 2 other Austrian festivals, with Vienna Shorts and Diagonale, that was also I think mentioned before, we found out that this is really confusing, and that a lot of smaller festivals and events have a really hard time to figure out how this works. So in case there's anybody who has a possibility to make a change, like in Slovenia, that there will be probably just one label, or at least label with the same conditions, that would be, I think, really helpful and great, because it makes it much easier for an organizer to apply for this. And the other thing is that there is this ISO certification for a green event, and one of the Austrian festivals, Vienna Shorts, now started doing it for separate events within the festival, which has been like a really hard work. But we are, as Festival Network in Austria, they are in touch like also with the government and the institution. And we try to figure out what are complications when applying for such a label, because there's a lot of things that when you organize a cultural event that you cannot really influence. For example, as a film festival, you need to take place at a cinema, and like if the cinema does not want to take the steps, I mean usually they want to, but probably they can't for whatever reasons, we still have to stick to the cinema, so there's limitations. Also accommodation. In Linz, for example, there's only one hotel that is like a certified green hotel, so we couldn't even accommodate all our guests. And that's limitations that I think sometimes when there is a label, I understand that the label has to be really inclusive to include a lot of different events, but this can be really hard. So I think that's something that would be great to exchange on, and this is also what is happening, but that's like limitations we came across, because also another thing is that like electricity, we wanted to get green electricity for the festival, but since we are in a building that we rent the office, we cannot change the contract. So we try to talk to the people, which I think is really important, you also mentioned it, but there's limitations to what a cultural event can do. And this also makes a difference in whether it is a small event or a big event, and there's funny difficulties. Because, for example, the Biennale, the biggest film festival in Austria, has trouble convincing the sponsors to get the goodies zero waste, or at least in better packaging, because it's often plastic. But they need such a big amount, because they're such a big event, that the producers cannot produce that amount in another way. This is an advantage of smaller events, because sometimes there are small companies that produce really nice things. I don't know, in Austria it would be like, for example, vodka from Austria, or I don't know, special sweets, and they have a small amount, so they can work with a small event, but not with a big one, but still want the audience to get to know their product. Yeah, and I've jumped a bit in my own notes now, so, oh yeah, what also was mentioned before is that Crossing Europe is also part of one festival network, European festival network. It's called MIOP, Moving Images, Open Borders, and especially the SAG, but together we started to work on a green charter, and this is the calculator that you mentioned. And the calculator, I think, is great because it aims to document the progress you make as a festival. So in this case, I think it's rather you need to use it more than 1 year. It's not about just using it and then, but it's about use it 1 year and then hopefully see that you're getting better in what you're doing. Also wanted to mention another next goal for Crossing Europe, because this is something we're standing here and do not know much about yet, but I think a problem probably is also that very often things just move online from, like, for example, ticket sales in Austria. That's what we did is, like, you don't print tickets, you have them online, but on the other hand that also generates, it uses resources, it just uses the resources somewhere else, and I think that would be a next goal, or a next step we are right now thinking about, but have at the moment no idea yet how to address it as a film festival with a medium budget. Well, I hope I gave some insight into what we did. I think it was a bit chaotic now, and I'm sorry for that. But either way, if there's some questions, I'm happy to answer, and we'll talk about things, and I think that's really important anyways.
Thank you. I think it's always good to hear, even if you said you're going to repeat yourself, I'll repeat after Katja, but, it's good to repeat, to revise, to rehear it, that it gets into our head, and, that we can start working on it. In this phase, I would like to ask Tanja to present the case, or this zero waste management from your perspective, from the perspective of Cinema Isola?
Of course. Can you hear me? Yeah. So is it okay if I stay here, or do you want me up there?
You can join us. You can join us if you want.
No, it's fine.
No, but maybe for the camera.
For the camera?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm camera ready, but that's another thing. I'll take a chair from here. So thank you first for these really amazing talks and introductions. It's really, really interesting to hear from another festival organizer's point of view, because I was immediately thinking of all the next steps that probably we should take in the future editions. So first, I would like to say that when we were talking about how to make Otok Isola Cinema more sustainable, more green, we realized that we cannot do it ourselves. So maybe this was the first thought that we had. We need to find an expert partner who knows the field and who can be really concrete and also strict with us in our decision to make changes. Because of course in the 18 years of the festival, as you can imagine, the thought of making our festival less harmful, let's say, to the environment crossed our minds a lot, of course, and we did little initiatives like you were mentioning way back. I remember 10 years ago when I joined the festival, we were talking about like reusing our merchandise. We also did like some upcycling back then. It did not always come from a deliberate decision of greening our festival, but it came out of, you know, not having enough resources, as you mentioned before, not having enough budget, and just we needed to find ways to realize the festival with the budget available. And but I think, and I said this last night at the opening, after 18 years of organizing the festival, of course not only by myself, but all the teams that were organizing and leading the festival till now, we needed somehow at some point to realize that we are part of the environment. You know, it's an awareness that many of us in the team had already. It's environmental, let's say, awareness, you know, separating trash at home, waste at home, like not traveling if not, you know, absolutely necessary, and so on. But like we really needed to make this change in our, let's say, collective awareness about it. And here, like the collaboration, the partnership with Ecologists Without Borders, I think it turned out for us perfectly. But I do have this worry that is, you know, walking with me around Isola, that maybe this year we will not be able to realize the goals, you know. And we talked about this before with Katja and Tanja from Ecologists. And they were also always saying, it's not possible to be, you know, perfect, you know, never. But especially for the first year, like what it is really important, it is to set for yourself concrete steps and then try to reach them, you know, as much as possible. And it was really reassuring also to hear that, because when we were digging deeper, making lists of the waste that is produced at our venues and so on, of course there were questions were just popping up everywhere, and concerns, and also like insecurities, we were not sure. So for all these reasons, why I'm explaining this so much is that it is our first recommendation really to connect with an expert organization. And for us it was also important, really crucial actually, that not only it is an expert organization, but that also it is a local, let's say, Slovenian national organization. Because going around festivals, of course, I think we were all part or attending events about greening, you know, but these events often give really generic, let's say, advice, or switching the microphone. Generic advice, which is not always applicable to concrete, you know, settings, contexts, which are not only national, are also regional, and then comes down to the level, to the context of the municipality where you or we are organizing our event. So these are for me, two most important points, or maybe what I would also advise to all the other cultural organizers, you know, when they are deciding to make the first steps, I think it is important to look for, let's say, national or local expert knowledge in the field. And then I think for us the biggest challenge will be, of course, to persist, you know, with our goals. Our partnership is 2-year partnership from the very beginning, so for us this will be very helpful, because we will be able to, how do you say, we'll be able to go through like what was achieved and what not, and then make changes and implement new ideas and goals for the next year. And yeah, that's it. Oh no, there is another thing I really need to mention. When we started to talk about getting zero waste label for our festival, I was really surprised that in the conversation we were having within the team, and also with the part-time co-workers, with partners and so on, there was a lot of doubt, a lot of hesitation, and a lot of comments in terms of like, oh, you want to be trendy, everyone is doing this right now, oh, you're just doing this because of the media support, right, and so on. So for me this was really surprising that in the cultural sector, where, you know, let's say colleagues and professionals, we often claim ourselves to be somehow, let's say, knowledgeable about what is happening in the world. And it really surprised me how much resistance, in a way, we encountered in this path. I was not expecting that, and I was really having a lot of very energetic discussions and trying to convince people that we are really truthful in this new path, and that we are not doing because of media support, but because we are trying to be as aware as possible about this responsibility we all have on the individual level and as organizations, and especially as festivals, which are entering, you know, different contexts with a large number of people, you know, coming together and producing waste, or hopefully not, or less waste, and so on. So yeah, that would be, you know, a couple of, it's more impressions. I also wasn't very organized probably in this short presentation, but these are some of the recurring, let's say, thoughts or topics of discussions around zero waste concept that we were having in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months in the office and outside of it.
Thank you, Tanja.
Even though you said that, you know, the goal has not been or will not be achieved at this edition yet, we don't know that for sure, but it's great to hear that this is a long-term partnership, that you will continue working on to be zero waste festival. But what about, will you include also other festivals? Will you push forward, you know, to this idea? You already mentioned that, okay, the cultural sector, although we are trying to be enlightened and, you know, more more sustainable, but will you try to engage other festivals, like to work together in this field, to present this your best case to them and connect them with Ecologists Without Borders? Were you thinking about that? Some, you know, like joint activities in this way?
As you know, like we did this collaboration with Motovila and Creative Europe Desk in Slovenia, which is also a long-term, let's say, thematic focus on greening the festivals. So in this context, of course, I think it would make sense to continue and to go even more into practical workshops for other film festival organizers in Slovenia. But I would really like to point out that what we do is very much applicable to other cultural events. and that if we would like to go and maybe present our endeavors to other colleagues in the cultural field, I think we would like to speak to different organizations, NGOs, of course, in the cultural field, but I think we can easily address other organizers, not only film festivals. So this is the first part of my answer, but there will be another part which I was thinking also during your presentations about the realities of the situations where we plan and organize our events and so on. In Slovenia, as all the Slovenian listeners know, there has been a lot of turmoil, a lot of difficulties in the cultural field in the last 2 years especially, but even before that it was, far away of being perfect. And what is difficult in Slovenia is that NGOs are already operating in crisis mode, like in a survival mode, most of the time. So it's really difficult, even for us, it was really difficult to allocate time and human resources and budget to take on this new path. So here, I think it's where the decision makers on all levels should and can and should come in, somehow to meet each other in the middle of the bridge. Because here, what media did, with implementing greening into all the calls, I think at the beginning there was also a lot of resistance, with colleagues in the other European film festivals, just saying, oh my God, like really now I need to do this as well, next to everything else. But this event and also our decision to try for a zero waste label is a result of media including greening points like many years ago. So it does come down from decision makers on all levels to how the field is slowly, sadly changing. It does. Of course it can come bottom up. Of course you need to have festival organizers on the other side who are aware and responsive to such incentives. But as you know, in Slovenia, Katja was mentioning Hladnika municipality before, but as much as I know, it's the only such occasion in Slovenia, right? As long as we are talking about cultural funding. Of course, for other areas there is, but on, for example, Slovenian Film Center and Ministry of Culture. And so no, I never ever had a conversation about greening our production with responsible people. So I just wanted to say this, because it's we would like to share our practice, like our experience. We would like to share our enthusiasm and all that. But realistically, I'm thinking about the festival organizers in Slovenia, and maybe there are 2 or 3 who really have enough resources, to realize this in a short period. So that's, I think, part of the reality we are living and working in. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
In the meantime, I have a few comments on your presentation. Thank you, Katharina. It was really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to our lunch, because I think we can exchange a lot of ideas what everything can be possible, because those are such nice and simple things that you sometimes just don't think about and just need to see, oh, somebody did it, it's awesome, let's just copy it because it's great. So I think we will have a lot of opportunities. As you've been talking about a joint label, actually on the field of Zero Waste Europe, we are preparing a label for businesses, which will be then categorized for events, hotels. So now in Slovenia, you have to know in Slovenia we're quite far on this zero waste road. So we are dictating somehow the tempo with some of the other countries. So we're now establishing on the European level common ground also. So there will be a zero waste certificate, as it is for the municipalities, and it will have stars. So and it will be based on criteria. So yeah, for example, okay, the event doesn't use any meat, or it also such things. If we talk about zero waste, we don't talk only about about waste, but also transport and everything. So yeah, there will be soon, I think, I hope so, till the end of the year, that we will already have the pilot program. So the next year you can already, I hope so, apply for the common certificate that we will hopefully also be financed. For example, in Slovenia, we have a grant for renewing the buildings, and actually the Ministry for Economy already puts or sees our zero waste label as one of the good things, so they give them more points, or they give them more finances if they include us. So this is really a good thing. And yeah, of course, we'll try to reach the 90% at Otok, but I think it's, for me, it's the least important goal. For me, it's the most important goal that we work together, that we analyze what we are doing. We've been also for art camp, for example, we didn't reach it in the first year because, yeah, even for us, me and Anna, we didn't know the locations, for example. We don't know how the festival is taking place, so we are now getting to know each other, to see where we have the opportunities to be better. So I think we have already reached the goal. We have already established a cooperation. I think we also got quite a lot of media attention because of this. This is, of course, not the most important thing, but it's nice. Yeah, let's face it. So yeah, and I think it's also a reason why we only have 16 zero waste municipalities, or only so far 4 zero waste events. We don't advertise this as big. Yeah, come everybody, let's be all zero waste. It's not working like that. It's not working. For example, in the field of municipality, it cannot be a decision of one mayor before he gets for a new election. The whole team has to be on the same side, and that's why Tanja already said, yeah, maybe 3 festivals are ready now in Slovenia who could implement this, and we want to work with those, because the others have time, they maybe have other issues they have to take care of first, or maybe make some steps by themselves, and if they're really ready, when they get the capacities, finances and everything, yeah, let's step together and make something more from it. So yeah, it's a reality, and we're happy for every event and every stakeholder who is really ambitiously taking on this zero waste path.
Thank you, Katja. Also, my question would be, you already mentioned, that you don't want to convince now everybody just, like running to you and asking for a label, to be just like another label, but maybe to encourage, because I think we have a representative of Art House Cinema in Slovenia here, Art House Cinema Association here, maybe how to become, maybe to encourage them to become green cinema. How would you recommend them, to cooperate with you or with, I don't know, other organizations? And you mentioned already how you're cooperating with Isola, Cinema Isola Festival, but for example, are you also helping them to find, for example, with others, to find green partners? What are, other means of cooperation? Not just collecting and waiting waste, but maybe are you helping them also to finding green sponsors or?
Thank you very much, because I forgot to advertise this part of our work. Yes, of course, we are doing much more than digging through the waste. We are, I think, also quite competent in the field of communications. We are quite active on social media, so please follow Ecologists Without Borders. This is also a way of supporting our work. So yeah, comms, it's a really important thing. But yes, we also have this beautiful story, collaboration from this year, one zero waste event supporting the other. Radenska, that is managing the marathon research, was willing to support Otok with the reusable glass bottles with the drinks. So I think this was a first step, and we now already work with quite many stakeholders and know already how to and who to connect. We already have plans to maybe get some other reusable furniture in the future also for this festival. So and how to work with us, let's get and sit down for a beer and just talk, because each and every event is different, each and every organization is different. Of course we can give you some basic tips about avoid single-use items, try to communicate. I mean, those are the basics, but everyone has some specifics that it's good to be really careful, and that we are the spies in your organization and to dig everything from the ground up. So that's the plan, and of course sit down with us, happy to talk, happy to watch a movie together this evening. So thanks.
Thank you. So you're kind of a nice spice.
I think so.
Okay. Great. Katharina, you already reached some goals. Your concert festival, but still you're trying to be more and more greener. Is there a limit, or what are your next steps? Are you satisfied with the current situation, or you want to? Where are you? Where is this field that you want to work more on?
I think it shouldn't stop. I mean, that would be weird, I think. No, but really for us, it's that we have reached those small steps that I tried to present, that we could easily just do with our team, within the festival organization. We really try to convince more and more partners that we need, like hotels, like other companies that we need to work with, the cinemas as well, so that they can also work on their green strategies, and that will be our next goal. But obviously that's not so easy, because it takes a lot of communication, and still we are a film festival. I mean, we have to organize our events, so it's not our main job. But that's why I also wanted to mention some of the small successes we had when partners changed their goodies because of us, because we said that would be a better thing. So it does work, but we can only do that as a side project. But since we are connected with the festivals in Austria, and that I was briefly talking about, so we just had a Zoom meeting about green events 2 weeks ago as well. And there it's also what we realized, that it makes a huge difference how big the festival is. So there's a lot of very small festivals included, and they need a very different approach. And we're trying to, or the festival organization is trying to communicate with the ministry. So because of that green certificate that is supposed to include measurements that all festivals can take, which is not that easy. So that is also a goal that we are working on and we want to be a part of, and also on a European level with the other European festivals. And what I mentioned before, that IT thing is something that is really in the back of my mind, where I really don't know yet, but I'm sure that something can be done. And in addition, there's something that I don't know if that's only in Austria, but probably it's everywhere, that there's also a social aspect included in the green event. And that's also something we want to work on even more. It's diversity of team, payment of team. It also has something to do with fair pay, which is another initiative. But still,
Thank you. Tanja, you already said that you were inspired by this debate and you were thinking about next steps. Can you share some thoughts?
I can share, but it's really, it's so simple, that I felt somehow, strange that we didn't thought about this before. And it's of course the badges, because we adapted. Before we had hard plastic badges for many years, and then we thought that was not such a great idea, you know, but I think it was a better idea than Polaroid in terms of waste, or, yeah, well.
I will take my picture home with me and have it. So I won't throw it away.
You won't throw it away.
Yeah, it's a great also maybe merchandise or memory.
So yeah, but basically paper badges. Yeah, of course I noticed them around, you know, and maybe I think it is another way, you know, of doing it in the future. And the paper bags, a funny memory. We had paper bags many years ago because we didn't have budget for textile bags. But we thought, oh yeah, this is not like, we should not do this, you know, what the guests will think when they come, that we cannot afford them. And we dropped that and went back to the textile bags, you know. So it's things like that, basically, you know. It's nothing, as we mentioned a couple of times today, it's not like inventing warm water. I don't know if this translates to English. It's about, like for me, you know, when I was thinking about and also talking to Neža, a producer of Kino Otok, we set for ourselves this goal which might be idealistic, but we would like to live in a time as festival, as cultural organizers, when sustainability, let's say, topic or theme is normalized in our work. Okay, so this is what I would like to see, hopefully, in my lifetime. For example, as you know, as it is normalized for festivals that we select the film program and divide the guests, you know, and I'm saying like it's long term, it cannot happen tomorrow, but normalized in a way so it's basically, you know, as you get up and wash your teeth, you know. So this is what I would like to see, you know, coming out of all the little initiatives, of all the little events joining and so on. And so yeah, now I expanded the answer, but this is something which is I think also an important message to the colleagues in culture and of course in other fields, you know, that it's not. It's the same with social awareness, with social inclusion and so on. I think that these topics, it's somehow feels that the conversations we are having in Slovenia, sadly, and are always a bit late, like belated, you know. I think that Katja was also saying something like this before, that it's we are always running behind, you know, and this is, but yeah, no, just not, it's not a pessimistic statement, but again, maybe if we say this out loud, you know, last night the filmmaker at the opening said that sometimes the most painful memories and things need special situations so we can set them out loud, and I think it needs to be said in the public sphere, you know, that we are late with many things, and hopefully it will only get better.
No, but I mean it's great that I heard before that you're also doing it educating young generations with the Motovila program. So the green is also integrated in the Motovila program, and I think that the shift or this change will happen with next generations. We are, you know, like starting to make a change in our heads, but the youngsters, I think they're already doing it. So are you also, do you have educational programs, not educational in the green way, or because like we said before, we are here, we are talking about festivals, so the main reason, you know, the main raison d'etre, or how to say, is to have a quality, to have a film festival, to have a quality program, film festival, not to be just a green festival, but a film festival. So, but are you thinking about also integrating this into your industry program, or I don't know, if you have any like audience development programs, are you also integrating this green or sustainable topic?
We don't really have an industry program at Crossing Europe, so that's. But still, we were thinking already about an event that will deal with green events, but also with green filming, because there's one of the regions in Austria Lower Austria Film Commission, is it called? Well, they have a really good project and they are pioneers in green filming, which I don't know so much about, but they are really good at this. And we want to promote this. But also we have a youth program, and this is where we want to include this topic-wise. So there's about 35 teenagers that during the festival are making a video project, and we want to use the topics to let them work on this.
Any last questions from the audience?
And I will say something from this side of the stage. I'm Sabrina from Motovila, and firstly I want to really thank you, all of you, for your inspirations, sharing your practices, as well as inspiring us, because I think that, with how Tanja mentioned this notion, we know that we are late, and I think that this paralyzes us, so I want to thank Katja especially for being really supportive and warm in, yes, let's do small steps that are also were shown through Crossing Europe initiatives, being persistent, being maybe a little bit a pain in the ass in the office. This is I would like to know how long you were this, but I think that I'm speaking on behalf of some, or maybe most of people here, that this was really a little bit also comforting, knowing that yes, there are ways, and bottom up will go in Slovenia, will have to go, and I think that your cooperation is really showing that really finding the good partners, communicating, and sharing experiences is the first step, and then we can go on, and it is an inspiration. We're also, Motovila being the voice of a decision maker on European level as a Creative Europe, is really eager to be in these initiatives where practical, smart steps, also sometimes I think that in Slovenia, as you said, you need someone to hold you for your hand and say, do this, and this, and thank you for being that one organization with many others, I'm sure also, similar. So yeah, this is my impression, but maybe, I don't know, there is a really nice collection of organizations here. Maybe someone can share, if you are sharing my station here, because I also came. I'm older than, for I don't know how we said that we were talking about how old we are, and I'm like, oh, this is also in the office. It's hard for us as well. So how is in your offices? Did you change a little bit your thinking about the problem or the issue after this event? It's a small event, but I think really it was positively inspiring all of us. Art Cinema Network, how is with you? You are very different in your organizations, but yeah, I think that you already did your small steps.
Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. All my colleagues are always saying we're off to some European Congress and they talk about green cinema transition and everything, and we honestly always thought, we were already doing this in a way. I thought it was, mounting solar panels on the roofs or cinemas and producing our own energy. Obviously, that's a very expensive solution that some cinemas have been able to take, also with these cultural centers, but that's larger investments and always based on whatever the local municipalities are eager to do with the building. As it turns out, cinemas really aren't producing that much waste because of one very fundamental reason. We don't have food and beverages. We don't allow it. To dismay of all our colleagues, there's a lot of money to be earned in this field, but we don't do it. So honestly, from the audience side, we don't really get a lot of waste. Obviously, the offices are another problem. I have to admit, at home, I'm a recycling fascist. In the office, yes, steps are being made. I come from a municipality that's adapted recycling very early on, that's Punjab. It's probably one of the first municipalities that had separate bins for waste. And I hope they do recycle in the end, because we try to separate basic stuff. But then you get to a ton of promotion materials that we print every year, gifts that we give out every year, and this kind of got me started on how to think about reducing all this, reusing and recycling and stuff like that. In a way, it's a common sense thing. When you want to save things, of course you use a banner from last year or a poster from last year, obviously. So yeah, in a way you got us thinking that it's not just the big stuff that we can do, it's really small things every day. Obviously, as Tanja said, it's always an investment in terms of the people that have to change their mindset and the people that have to work with this. Obviously, we're all horribly understaffed and underfunded anyway. But maybe there's small baby steps that we can adopt and maybe move forward. But yeah, we're aiming for the solar panels on the roof in the end. So that would be the big steps, I think.
Thank you, Jure.
Hello, also from my side. My name is Ivana and I work in film production, so I'm not part of a festival organization, but we are dealing, I think, with some common things like the film festival. Maybe the problem with our side is that it's easier because we have a group of people who work on a project for a constant time. For example, in time of production for 30 days, for example, you have 50 people, 60 people if it's a smaller production, and then it's easier to control. But on the other side, you have to motivate people for more than a month, and even before that, in part of development and the start of the production. So this is like a 1-year commitment every year, yeah. And this is the difficult part. So I was wondering, maybe for Katja, if you have some good examples. I don't know if there are some from Slovenia, but maybe from others, or maybe some film production contact you on this issue, because we are starting to think to implement more of this, not just in our offices, but starting from next year from our project that we are dealing with now, and has this also a little bit of green motivation and thematic. So we are starting to think how to, as many of you said it before, how to start not from the production stage, but actually from now, from the development stage. So I was wondering if you have maybe some interesting examples, or how can we start doing this, or what are the first steps, or maybe something like that.
I think that the first steps, or what we have to know, is pretty clear. We have to talk about how the production works, where does waste come from, why, and how to eliminate it. So yeah, we have to talk about it. Definitely, I don't know about any good examples from Slovenia, but we are also being part of Zero Waste Europe. We are also part of Break Free from Plastic. That's the biggest global movement of organizations fighting the single-use plastic, and we have really great connections there. And there is an initiative from America that's called Flip the Script. I have to dig in deeper because it is my wish. I don't know if it's really looking closer at the production stage, but I know that this initiative is also talking to the production teams to just cut the single-use plastic on the screens. So don't use coffee to go in a single-use in a scene, for example. Use something that's reusable. Give people, be the ones. Even if you don't produce waste, for example, in the cinema, we can be the ones who can give people ideas how to be more sustainable. And yes, an event is especially a good communicator, educator, also for the attendees and also for other organizations. And yeah, I think, don't be afraid. I'm so astonished when people come to me and say, yeah, you're not that bad. I mean, or yeah, because everyone is afraid that, yeah, we want everything, yeah, go meatless, go now, just public transport. Come on, this is not common sense. It doesn't work like this. We have still lives. I mean, don't be afraid to do small steps. We have already fucked up. I mean, we have plastic everywhere. But what to do if we say, okay, we're afraid of it, we won't do anything, then it's really wrong. We have to at least try and do small steps.
Because, for example, it's not during the filming, it's the ways that it's done from food and beverages, because you have a lot of people there, and every day you're filming for 12 or more hours, and they eat 3 times a day on the spot. But then it's a lot of materials that is used during scenography that is left afterwards. So this is another issue that probably should take a little bit time to discuss, because I'm really not aware where all this material goes after that. Maybe some of that is recycling, but I think most of that goes to waste, or I don't know. It's not used anymore, you know. So, and also all the paper that is printing all the time, because you have scripts, and people are still used to having on paper everything, so it's a little easier for them to read it on the spot. So I think there are a lot of, I don't know if I can say interesting, but maybe I don't know what the best word to use here, but a lot of things that can be discussed and not just improve, but just start with the chapter.
I would just share a story which is scary to me, very recent from a production. It's not filmmaking set, it's commercial set, but still part of the audiovisual industry from Slovenia. I learned that for a certain commercial, they built up 30, like 30 tiny houses, okay? And these 30 tiny houses will not be offered to someone who would like to live in a tiny house somewhere in the countryside in Slovenia, but will be demolished because that's the easiest way to complete the production. And for me, like this is like it sounded so scary, and at first I did not believe it, and then so I checked a couple of times, and this is just one little story. I can imagine these stories happen probably all the time. You know?
Maybe less in the film industry in Slovenia, because there are not so many money and funds, so we are also recycling a lot because of that. But the commercial world that is becoming more and more popular in Slovenia, and a lot of foreign investments come here. So okay, when you're in Slovenia, then you think, okay, our country, our environment, people maybe are a little bit motivated by that, but there are a lot of things coming from all over the world. So they see money potential only here, they come and they go, and they don't care. So if the organization or the productions don't motivate them to do something like that, I don't know if they will care in a situation like this to destruct everything that they built after the filming.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah, we have a question over there.
Hello, my name is Lynn. I just wanted to thank you because I come from another country than Slovenia and Austria, and it was really interesting to listen to you. And to see also that Slovenia actually mentioned sustainable tourism, and also co-organizer of a marathon in Province in the south of France. It's a marathon that goes in the 1 yard in 25 centers, so it's in the nature, and we have also issues because we are dealing with a lot of stakeholders. But what's surprising for me in Slovenia is that you are so advanced in the promotion of the country as a green destination and the protection of your national parks. In France, we really see Slovenia as a country with 70% of forest, and that it's quite poor still in the culture sector, cultural industry. And Katharina, the skepticism skepticism that you talked about in the, no, sorry, the person on the right,
Tanja.
Sorry, when you talked about this skepticism in the cultural industry, this is also what I'm trying to dig in my studies, because the cultural industry sometimes with movies, books, talk a lot about ecological issues, and they are doing the biggest part on trying to educate people, but it's so poor so far in the organization of cultural events. So I think it's definitely a European issue, so European fundings are definitely needed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this comment. I think everybody's dealing with the same, like not skepticism, but even us at Motovila, like Sabina already said, we were pushed with this, new green strategy integrated in the program. We were pushed to talk among each other how to deal with our strategy. What are we doing on a personal level, organizational level? Okay, we are trying to, persuade all the others to prepare the green strategy, but what are we doing? So I think it's always the same. We always have to re-ask ourselves, what are we doing? What can be done? Tanja, you said that we are late. Yes, we are late, but at least we started to talk about it, and we are started to think about who can we partner with, what can we change. And we always say when somebody comes to us and okay, I have to prepare an application, what is this green strategy? What do I have? This is just another paper. No, please, just like you said, we are already doing some things. We are already taking steps, but we are not aware of it. Like you mentioned, okay, we started with baby steps. We are all doing these baby steps, but we're not, thinking about them like, now we have to, write them down and make a paper out of it. Papers are important. Like you mentioned, you signed the paper, you started a partnership. It is important, but it's not important when this paper just stays in the drawer. It's good that you're monitoring the steps, and this is why it's great that although you're skeptic about if you're going to reach this goal, but no, you're going to reach this goal anyway, maybe in 5 years from now. And you will maybe, have other partnerships, and you will take other steps, towards, like you mentioned, okay, you were thinking about the badges and everything. So it's great that we are talking about it, that we are raising awareness, not just we as Motovila, but among each other, and we are persuading each other to change the way we're doing things. So I'm really glad that Katja, you presented that this is not like, we don't have to be afraid of you and afraid of the process, and that we have to start at our personal level, I think. This is like something for a start. We have to think what, in a way, we are, doing things. And thank you, Katharina, that you presented how you started, and you presented really, I would say, simple, small steps, but they are really important for the society, the environment. And Tanja, I'm really great that you, although we were this whole thing started with the media application, but in a way you were already doing things. Now we just put them on paper, and you're pushing them, further and further. So thank you all for coming. I hope this was inspiring for you as well, and you will make a change. You will leave a trace. So thank you.